Hey, Bunk Funkers, we finally have merch. Check it out at MrBunkersConspiracyTime.com/merch. There's a link in the description also. We got t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, posters, and more, plus free shipping to the US, UK, EU, and Canada. That's MrBunkersConspiracyTime.com/merch.
In Chicago, two comedian skeptics named Andy and Art were mysteriously abducted by the illusionary mastermind and conspiracy theorist known only as Mr. Bunker. The following serves as a record of Bunker's attempt to convince non-believers of the truth about conspiracies and paranormal activity. Andy and Art give an uninterrupted presentation and verdict on the plausibility of these offbeat topics, delivering what they call the whole enchilada. Will Mr. Bunker convince these two skeptics any of this is real? Will it convince you?
Oh, hey, welcome to Mr. Bunker's Conspiracy Time podcast. As always, I'm your co-host, Arthur Stone. And with me, as always, is your co-host, Andy Hart.
Thank you for having me on your podcast, Art.
Oh, well, yeah, welcome to be here. What
was that show that used to be on PBS? Oh, McLaughlin Group? That's me, Jim McLaughlin.
This reference is going over my head, but I like the voice.
Art, quick question for you.
Hey, Andy, welcome.
Hi, Art.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And listeners, welcome to the show.
Listeners, glad that you're here.
Glad that you're here. Glad that we're here.
Glad that it's another day with you.
Another day with you. Hey, Andy. Boy,
Art.
Do we got a heavy-hitting topic sent in by a friend of the show and listener.
Wow, yeah, we have another listener submitted topic. Art, today's topic comes to us from one of our overseas listeners.
That's right.
This comes to us from Chris in Berlin.
That's right. Fittingly, Chris asked us to review the conspiracy that Hitler never died at the end of World War II and escaped to South America or somewhere else and lived out his life.
Yeah, the possibility that he fled Europe and got away scot-free.
That's right. Hey, if you want to ask us, or ask Mr. Bunker, rather, the titular Bunker, to make us review a topic on this here radio program podcast. It's not a radio program. You can
turn us to 860 on your AM dial, and there we'll be.
869. 420.
420 on the AM dial. Hell yeah.
You can email us MrBunkerPod@gmail.com or tweet at us.
Tweet us
at MrBunkerPod. Or hit us up on the Instagrams. I guess you could slide into some DMs there.
You want to slither into our DMs, you wriggly little listeners.
You little worms.
Ooh, get in there.
You're a worm, listeners.
Art and I,
but a worm.
Art and I are like rotting pieces of fruit, and y'all are like maggots. Get in there and wiggle inside of us.
Spread your disease and love around inside of us. Ooh, wait, we're a peach.
Ooh.
We're a bruised peach.
Bruised peach.
We're the bruised bananas of podcasting. Hey, Andy. Sometimes listeners don't want to listen to two bruised bananas of podcasting talk it up. And they want to get right
That's
to.
true.
They said, "Oh my God, they're talking about Hitler in Argentina. That's my favorite topic of all time. I can't get enough. I want to go straight to the research."
Listeners, if you want to get straight to the research, don't wait. Don't pass go. Collect $200 in the show notes look in your whatever podcasting app or service you use. Check the show notes right at the
Results
top.
may vary.
Check the top. Right there at the top, we'll have a timestamp that will tell you when we get to the research. So If you don't want the banter, you just want the meat. You don't want to get any of that enchilada sauce. You don't want any cheese. You don't want any tortilla. You just want to dig right into the filling. Check the timestamp. And then just, take the slider.
That's right.
And just slide it over.
Then you just scrub on
to the
down.
specified time.
That's right. So easy. Anyway, but first,
so easy. So breezy. So bunkerful.
Oh, wow. That was lovely. So easy, so breezy, so bunkerful. Hey, maybe it'll catch on.
Maybe it'll catch on.
Maybe he's born with it. Maybe
It'll catch on.
Maybe it'll catch on.
That's what they used to say about me when I was a teenager. He obviously wasn't born with it. Maybe it'll catch on.
Oh, well, maybe, I thought the opposite would be true. Is they're thinking maybe he was born with it? This rare disease
Condition?
Yeah. But first, Andy and I like to do a little warm up. We like to greet each other while we're down here in the bunker. And we like to talk about how Mr. Bunker, the titular Mr. Bunker, captured us this week.
Art and I need to connect, and we like to catch up with each other.
That's right.
So what we like to do, we like to share how we ended up in the bunker every week.
Mm-hmm.
And Art, I have a bit of a doozy for you.
You got a doozy.
I don't know if it's a doozy.
Bunker's back to his old tricks.
He's up to his old tricks.
Well, longtime listeners of the show will know that in show lore, you and the titular Bunker have had a bit of a back and forth. Your relationship is a little bit tumultuous. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, we're like oil.
How much mulch?
It's very mulchy. We're like oil and water. He's water and I'm the oil.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I would have said piss and vinegar because you're a real piss freak.
I take a golden shower every morning. We're like George R.R. Martin's A Song of Oil and Fire. A grease fire.
Yeah. Or my favorite, the not as well known George R.R. Martinelli's Oil and Parmesan cheese.
Oh,
you can mix it up, put it on some bread.
Dip some focaccia in there. Oh, give me a little of the gabago.
All right, Andy, let's hear how the titular Mr. Bunker captured you this week.
All right. So, Art, it's, the weather's nice here in the Chicagoland area, which means...
yeah, it's getting nice and breezy. It's getting the sun's going away.
And you know what nice weather means in the city.
I have to start taking vitamin D pills.
Why do you have to start when the weather's nice? You just go outside. Oh, but you don't go outside.
That's right.
You should really take it all year.
I probably should.
What I was thinking of specifically is that it means there's friggin' street festivals everywhere.
Oh, my God. You got Rib Fest. You got Greek Fest. You got...
That's it. You got Taste of Chicago. You got your Lollapaloozas, your Riot Fests.
That's right.
Your there's this is a city that loves
Wing
festivals.
Fest.
Wing Fest. This city loves festivals.
Almost as much as it loves gun crime.
And I think it was Rachel Mason that said once, this people in this city love an excuse to drink. Maybe it wasn't her. It might have been somebody else.
It could have been somebody else.
Somebody said this once.
Unknown.
A teacher.
Unknown, and then the whole thing in quotes, Michael Scott.
Right, yeah. But the city loves an excuse to drink. And
we're a drinking city.
And so there's street festivals aplenty.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a fan of street festivals. Let me say that.
Okay. I hear your complaint, and I think I will call.
Okay.
In this poker battle of discussion that we're having.
Well, okay, I see your call, and I'm going to raise you and say that I don't like the crowds that much.
Don't like the crowds.
I typically don't like to pay for admission to walk down a street.
Well, to be fair, some of them are free, and they suggest that you give a donation. You can just say, "Oh, I'm just passing through," and they'll go, "Sure, you are." And I'm like,
right.
"No, seriously, the train is that way. How else am I supposed to?"
I would just rather
Street?
Avoid it. Yeah. It's too much of a quagmire for me, in my opinion.
I'll feel you that, and I'll say this: don't.
Is we still going with poker?
Okay,
I'll feel you that.
Hit me. What are we playing?
Yeah, poker.
Breathe on my dice.
Yeah.
I don't like eating hot food out in the hot sun.
Give me some cold food outdoors.
Oh, I'm serious. Like, do you like eating a piping hot fucking, piece of hot food when the sun's blaring down your neck?
You know, I'm not such a fan of al fresco dining anyway.
Okay.
I kind of
All right,
like
Mr. European. What does that mean?
outdoors dining.
Oh, I got you.
I don't like eating in the outside.
I got you. I went to Apple Fest. Like I said, there's a fest for everything.
In Silicon Valley?
No.
Were you there with Tim Cook?
No. But I did hold Steve Jobs' hand while he died. Steve Jobs and I were great friends.
I killed Steve Jobs.
I fed
Stunning
him all
confession
the
from Art.
I fed him all the 1960s designs that he lifted all Apple products from.
Yeah.
Braun.
Braun?
It's called, I think the company was called Braun. It was a German company.
Yeah.
And if you look at a lot of their designs,
Foreshadowing.
very related
Today.
very similar to how Apple did it. Anyway, Apple Fest, it was cold outside, and I ate a hot brat and some hot apple cider, and it was great because it was cold out.
Yeah.
Oh, Andy, I was wearing a sweater. It's chilly, but not too chilly. But still, the crowds, man.
It's the people are a problem for me.
Who likes lines?
So against my better judgment, I went to a street festival. Okay.
You went to a street fest.
I
What was the nature of this street fest?
this is one of these community street
Just
fests.
community street fest.
Local vendors. They've got
Art,
a stage set up
food.
for performance, like just typically music, right?
Yeah, like any neighborhood, name a neighborhood, they have a street fest.
Right. And in fact, at this street fest, there was a band playing.
Oh.
And no less than a Bon Jovi cover band.
Get out of town.
And you know how much I love Bon Jovi.
Oh, baby. On a steel horse does Andy ride.
Ride. I'm wanted.
You're wanted in a couple states.
Mostly dead. Anyway, this Bon Jovi cover band, they're called Backdoor to Heaven. And honestly, Art, they're pretty good.
They were good?
They were good. Like
Some cover bands really have it.
I don't always like cover bands because I kind of feel like
Okay.
I'm conflicted. Okay.
All right.
I'll say this. I probably don't need to go into it.
No,
Nobody
go into
cares.
it. No, people care.
Cover band musicians, these are people who are talented.
Sure.
They do a good job of sometimes emulating the source material. But at the end of the day, I'm like, you're playing somebody else's music.
Damn. Wow. You're really putting it to all the cover bands.
I know, and I don't.
Listeners out there who are in a cover band, hey, you want to tweet at us and tell
light me
Andy
up.
how fucking wrong he is? Light him up.
Light me up. Again, I said these are talented people.
Okay. You left-hand complimented them, though. You said, yeah, you're talented, but you can't write your own, you can't make it in your own music.
It wasn't exactly the compliment sandwich. It was more like I caressed the cheek and then I slapped it. But anyway, Backdoor to Heaven's playing.
Sure.
They're pretty good. I'm having a good time listening to them. After their set, I go up to them and I just want to tell them like how much I like the show. You know, you and I are performers. We've been on stage before.
Oh, yeah.
Arguable. I mean, we're not anything. I mean, I've never done anything that shows any level of skill like a musician does.
Yeah.
Even untalented musicians. Not that Backdoor to Heaven's untalented, but I feel a kinship with other performers, and it's you need to support each other.
Sure.
So I went to tell them that how much I enjoyed their set. And
Yeah. A little compliment goes a long way.
yeah. And they were friendly people. We start having a conversation. You know me, I'm a gregarious person.
Oh, you love to chit chat.
And so I get into a conversation with them, and they've been playing the set. They suggest let's stop by one of these vendors for food. I'm like, great idea. Obviously, I'm gonna eat. I'm such a fucking pig. And so there's this place with ribs. So we go there. Oh, I love ribs.
Who
right?
doesn't love ribs?
I guess I'm a cannibal. I'm such a pig. I order it. I order a slab of beef ribs because a rack of pork ribs isn't enough food for me. So
Good God Almighty! You make one Bay of Pigs joke, listeners, fucking 20 episodes ago, and you never hear the end.
you'll never live it down. So these ribs are good, but I'm telling you, Art, this barbecue sauce that they had, absolutely delicious.
Wow. Now, what kind of barbecue sauce was it? We're talking like a Carolina where it's vinegary.
So we're
got a little
talking
mustard.
We're talking more like a Memphis style sauce here. So
okay.
There's tomato, there's sweet, there's heat.
Kind of like an all around.
A good amount of like black pepper, which I like a lot.
Yeah.
It's not too thick. It's not too sweet. I like the level of spice in it.
Nice.
I'm like, this is a delicious
Those
barbecue
overly
sauce.
sweet barbecue sauces, those can fucking, you flush that shit down the toilet, listeners. That's what I have to say.
Wow.
You go have some fucking brown sugar and molasses if that's what you want.
I think there's room in everybody's kitchen for a cornucopia of barbecue sauces.
Okay.
There's so many different applications.
All right.
Art, open your mind and shut your mouth. So anyway, this barbecue sauce is great.
Yeah.
I go back to the vendor, the little booth and whatever, and I ask if I can get some more sauce from the guy at the booth. He grabs a bottle that they have in the back and he's going to give it to me. And he kind of he fumbles it.
Oh, geez.
Like he fumbles it. And I can see, as I'm watching him with this bottle, I can see in his eyes, though, this isn't just an accident.
Oh, no.
This is a malevolent fumble.
Oh, my God.
He grabs the bottle in midair. He catches it. He stops it from hitting the ground.
Oh, wow.
But he grabs it in such a way that, it just, squirts barbecue sauce out, and I get absolutely covered in, a cartoonish amount of sauce.
Like you're
from this
covered
bottle.
in the sauce, and all of a sudden your eyes open and they're blinking like boop boop, and those are the only features that you see.
Like everything else,
like
it's
a cartoon.
It's like a ghost made out of barbecue sauce, and just my eyes blinking.
If you were a ghost, that's what you would be.
That's what I would be. Yeah, absolutely. When I die, and I ascend,
bury me in barbecue,
and I ascend to my next form. So I'm absolutely covered in barbecue sauce, and this barbecue sauce must have had that whatever ingredient makes that magic shell ice cream topping.
Oh yeah, fudge.
Because it instantly hardens.
Oh, just like me.
Just like, yeah. Art has an enormous erection.
I see an Andy covered in barbecue sauce. I'm thinking like a piece of
So here
that.
I am in front of this booth, covered in barbecue sauce, and I'm completely frozen. Unable to, I'm like Han Solo. I'm like a fat Han Solo.
Okay, well,
covered.
You know what?
And
at this point, it's just you.
I'm like Flan Solo. I'm a lump of pudding encased in carbonite barbecue sauce.
Oh my God.
A flatbed truck pulls up.
What?
And drags me, like they put a chain on me, this gloppy mound of hardened barbecue sauce, pulls me onto the bed of the truck. And this truck, this flatbed truck, drives to the bunker, all while back door to heaven is just standing there, gape-jawed, unable to comprehend what they've just seen.
Wow. Andy, I mean, when you got here, did you lick yourself clean? I mean, what happened?
Yeah, I went full cat on it, and I licked every part of my body I could reach. That barbecue sauce was good. I mean,
and Andy is very flexible, listeners. You don't know this, but I know this. I've seen Andy flex or stretch.
Both.
I've seen him stretch.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have to say, not such a terrible way to get captured.
Yeah.
I did get to eat those ribs.
Yeah.
Bunker usually deprives me of whatever food item I'm trying to stuff into my maw.
Famously gave you bad linguine and clams.
Yeah, that's probably his most famous abduction story.
And you got sick from that. So
I did. I got food poisoning.
Yeah. So at least this time he gave you some. He said, you know what? You called him out and he said, you know what? You want to fucking eat? You want to fucking eat, you little piece of shit? Here you go.
You like donuts? That have all the donuts in the world.
Is that
that's Simpsons Treehouse of Horror reference? Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, then the barbecue sauce was very good, Art.
It was a good sauce.
No, I don't know if this is his recipe or
it could be his recipe,
or if he stole it.
Well, obviously he has skills in culinary arts.
He does.
Besides his amazing skills in illusion and deception and
artwork,
scenery.
He's clearly got a
mechanical
CDL.
skills. Yeah, he's got a CDL for sure. He can drive all manners of
drive
vehicles.
a car wash.
He's got skills.
Yeah.
He's just so bashful.
But
He's just so bashful. And listeners,
but do
longtime
said
listeners know
skills
this.
pay the bills?
I think so. The lights are still on here.
It's got me there.
I mean, it kind of smells like cat shit in here, but, you know,
Well, yeah. That might be me.
it could be anything.
I did blow up the bunker potty before you got here.
Oh, God. The open-faced toilet that we have here in the bunker, famously.
Yeah.
Longtime listeners will know that there's no stall around the toilet. It's just open, sitting next to the kitchen.
Hey, folks, we're Open Face Toilet. Can we get a suggestion of anything at all?
It's a great
Gonna
improv
do some
team name.
improv for you tonight.
Andy, it's funny that you bring up a band
Oh.
because my abduction story also involves a band.
Whoa.
And I gotta say, mine wasn't as fun as yours.
Oh.
Because here's the thing: you
Well,
got to
don't
go.
feel bad.
You got to go. You got to enjoy your street fest.
Yeah, I got to watch the whole Back Door to Heaven set.
You got to watch the whole set. I, on the other hand, did not get to watch the set that I wanted to see. As you know, Andy, you may or may not know this. Listener know this. I am a huge Buck Cherry fan. I mean, Andy, you know Buck Cherry, right?
I know Buck Cherry.
You know some Buck Cherry.
Yeah.
I go fucking Buck Wild for Buck Cherry, baby.
I think
Woo, I can't get enough Buck Cherry.
Was that one song where it's like, you're crazy?
Andy, I got it queued up. Let's let the
Okay.
listeners. We're gonna play a little taste, enough that we don't get in trouble.
right.
A little taste.
We're going to play a little taste in fewer than 30 seconds so we don't get sued.
of my favorite band on the planet, Buck Cherry, baby. Woo! Love me some Buck Cherry.
There it is, Buck Cherry. This is the song I was thinking of.
Yo, crazy bitch, but you fuck so good, I'm on top of it. Woo! Love that music, Andy. Can't get enough. I love tattoo sleeves.
Yeah.
I love Ed Hardy clothing. I love singing about sex.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I love singing about drugs. You know all their songs, baby.
Yeah, I love the
Lit up.
the whole Buck Cherry canon.
Yeah, baby. I'm all lit up again. I love the cocaine. I love the cocaine. Woo! I love Buck Cherry. Can't get enough Buck. I go Buck Nasty for some Buck Cherry, baby. Woo!
Getting a lot of bang for your buck.
Oh, yeah. Songs written by virgins for virgins. Woo! Woo! You crazy. Songs about crazy bitches that love to fuck and scratch your back. Oh, yeah. Buck Cherry. Woo! Let's do drugs, baby. Love this music. Woo!
Okay.
I love fucking Buck Cherry. Pop my cherry, Buck Cherry. Buck Cherry, pop my cherry.
They popped his Buck Cherry.
Woo! Buck Cherry.
Folks, if you weren't familiar with Buck Cherry, we just popped your Buck Cherry.
We're going to
just
pop
now.
your Buck Cherries. Fucking go crazy, man. I love all their songs. I want to do something and it rhymes with my name, but it's not Puck. That's a great one.
That's the name of a Buck Cherry song?
Could be. Woo! Love Buck Cherry. Can't get enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Buck Cherry was in town. They're still performing.
They're still touring.
Woo! I was excited, man.
Where were they playing?
Allstate Arena.
Allstate. Yeah, that feels about right.
Yep, they could fucking sell out the Allstate, I'm
They
sure.
sold it out.
All of us fucking Buck Nasty, Buck Wild
You
fans.
Buck- Cherry nuts.
Buck fuckers. Woo! I'm a buck fucker.
Yeah.
Gonna go to Fuddrucker, get my buck on. Spend a buck.
Buck footers
I'm going to buck fuckers.
for a tasty
Bud buckers.
Bud buckers.
Woo! I love going to bud fuckers. Give me a burger and then listen to some Buck Cherry, baby. Woo! Woo, yeah. Cocaine. Ed Hardy. Fucking love that shit, man. So Buck Cherry was in town. I was excited. I got myself some fucking tickets real quick. Hopped on to Ticketmaster.com.
Were you waiting for that?
I was
hitting
waiting.
refresh on the
Hitting
browser.
refresh.
Waiting for the thing to open.
Woo, baby. I said, Buck Cherry? I said, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Can't get enough.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I was going buck wild. I was bucking and bronking like I was on a fucking Bronco, baby. Woo!
Yeah,
Buck Cherry.
You were riding that.
Which is another great song where they talk about having sex with a woman, which is cool.
It's
And
very
she was
cool.
bucking. And they made a lot of allusions to her being a horse. It was hot. Woo! I love Buck Cherry. Anyway, so I go to see Buck Cherry and I'm getting excited. I'm lining up. I got my Buck Cherry t-shirt.
Buck Cherry is a different band.
Yeah, Buck Cherry. Enemies of Buck Cherry.
Not a good band.
I'm wearing those fake arm sleeve tattoos. You ever seen those before?
Yeah, of course.
I want to fit in.
Yeah.
I dyed my hair blonde, but my roots were still dark.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
famously, I have very dark hair.
Right.
So I just dyed the top
So
blonde.
you went with the Guy Fieri.
I went with like kind of a Guy
Frosted
Fieri.
tips.
You know, had 5 o'clock shadow. I was ready, baby.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait for some. I was going alone. Hannah didn't join me.
Hannah didn't want to go?
No, she didn't want to join me.
She's not,
I don't know why, man.
She's not a buck footer.
Not a buck futter. Great fucking band, though. So I'm showing up, and I'm walking in there. We're talking about lines, right?
Yeah.
There's this line for me to get in. I figured this is the line to get in. And
You're right.
start looking around. I'm not seeing a lot of Buck Cherry shirts. I'm thinking, am I in the right place? Maybe there's something else going on at Allstate, you know? Famously, Allstate has flea markets and other things that happen in the parking lot during the day. Maybe I'm in the wrong spot. Then I start looking, and I start seeing, this is not Buck Cherry, Andy.
No?
This was Bunk Sherry.
Wait.
This was Bunk Sherry.
Not Bunk Sherry?
Not Buck Cherry.
It was
Bunk Sherry.
Bunk Sherry?
Yeah, Bunk Sherry. All these people are like, they're all lining up with these Bunk Sherry shirts. And I'm thinking, what the fuck?
Bunk Sherry?
And all of a sudden, there he comes, wailing on a guitar. Like, you remember the dude from Mad Max?
Yeah.
The guitar psycho guy, and he's playing the song, and the fire's
coming out?
He's riding along.
That's him?
Yeah, and
That's Bunker?
on like a buckmobile.
Wow. The Buckmobile.
The Buckmobile, and he's playing the guitar, and his fire's going everywhere. I'm thinking,
the Bunkmobile.
I'm thinking, if only Buck Cherry could see this shit,
Yeah.
they'd write a killer fucking song about it.
Buck Cherry would love that.
Buck Cherry would get all over that.
Was he
baby.
playing a Buck Cherry song?
He was just kind of riffing and grooving, and I was entranced by it. I was thinking,
Yeah,
hell
sure.
yeah. But then, of course, as you know, it was actually like a modified forklift, and he just scooped me up.
Wait, a forklift or
You know, like a forklift that had like a dumpster, or not a dumpster, but like
a front end loader?
yeah, front end loader on it. Just kind of scooped me up. But I was
Scooped you into a bucket?
So anyway, that's why my hair is dyed, and I have these tattoo arm sleeve
Yeah.
things and this
You-
Buck Cherry shirt.
You look real
These
stupid.
Tight jeans. I don't look stupid, dude. I look like I have lots of sex.
Yeah, you do.
Ed Hardy, sex, cocaine, art. That's me. Buck Cherry, baby. Bucking for life.
Buck Cherry forever. Bunk Cherry never.
Bunk Cherry can go to hell. Buck Cherry, ring my bell.
So he abducted you. What about all these people that were there to see Bunk Sherry?
Who knows? I think he just paid a bunch of people to wear Bunk Sherry shirts. 'Cause you know me, I don't pay attention sometimes.
Yeah.
I listen to,
Yeah, I mean, you bought tickets to Bunk Sherry thinking it was Buck Cherry.
It said Bunk Cherry, or Buck Cherry, I swear to God.
It probably said Bunk Sherry.
It was probably a fake ticket website, for all I know.
Yeah, you just, all you did was give your credit card number to the people in Romania.
Yeah, now fucking Bunker has my credit card number.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen next?
I can only imagine you're going to have a lot of charges to costume shops.
Jeez. Well, it won't be any different. Anyway, listeners, what's going to happen next for you is you got to pause this fucking podcast and go listen to goddamn Buck Cherry.
The Buck Cherry catalog.
Woo! Buck Cherry.
That's what happens for you next. Don't come back till you're done. That's your homework.
No, next, you're going to hear all of our research, the whole enchilada,
Yum, yum, yum.
as we call it on... Andy, what should we call this? Are we going to call it Hitler in Argentina or Hitler escaped? How do we encapsulate this?
There's been
Sock it to me?
let's call it the flight of the Hitler.
Hitler's Flight. It's coming to you now here on Mr. Bunker's Conspiracy Time Podcast.
Art.
Yeah.
World War II was unquestionably one of the most widespread conflicts in human history. Estimates have it that 70 to 85 million people died as a result of the war. Adjusting to today's dollars, World War II cost the USA alone just over $4 trillion. The war reshaped the geopolitical landscape in ways that still impact our lives today. Needless to say, despite our age and general lack of intelligence and useful knowledge, we're aware of World War II.
I'm aware of it.
So let's kick this show off in this way, Art. Give me and the listeners your blanket thoughts on World War II.
Well, Andy, for starters, war is bad.
Okay.
Hot take.
Woo! Scorching.
World War II has that, it probably is the last romanticized war. That's fair to say.
I know what you mean.
In a way that the History Channel used to basically spend all of its time on World War II and nothing else sometimes. Because it was, in a way, it was romanticized. It was this, whether that's right or wrong, I'm just saying is that as more of a kind of a fact. People reenact people talk, they play like miniature war games where they replay famous World War II battles. How many fucking movies have there been about just World War II and its battles and its struggles and the theater of it all? Yeah. The dog fights, and it was like kind of one of the last, maybe not the last, but maybe this is wrong because again, we have a lack of intelligence, and you know more about history than I do, but it kind of maybe it felt like the last war where it was like, what was the clear motive, right? It was like to stop. Well, for the European theater, it was to stop, the Nazis, and for the Pacific theater, it was to stop, the Empire of Japan.
Right.
It was like it was more clear. Whereas I feel like the wars after that were more like, we're gonna fight ideas, we're gonna fight Don't
forget the Italian fascists.
Well, they played such a big part in it. Didn't they want to weren't they kind of going to Hitler to be like, hey, we kind of want to, we're not really into this. Or no, am I wrong? At one point they were just kind of like, listen, you took this way farther than we ever thought.
Look, we just wanted North Africa.
Yeah. But I mean, you know what I mean though, about it kind of being it was a clear, we got to stop this evil.
There was an evil empire.
Yes.
It wasn't a loose confederation of individuals.
Yeah, whereas you get the Korean conflict, you get Vietnam, you get Desert Storm. A lot of these wars, are kind of, it's feeling like, it's this big superpower against this guerrilla identity sort of thing, and it's just messy, and it's there's battles, but they're not as defined as they were in World War II. It was this is the Battle of Berlin. This is when the conflict in blah, blah, blah started. The forces were here. They took this city here. This is what happened.
Yeah.
These were the Allies. These were the Axis. Good, evil. Not to overgeneralize it either, because obviously it was much more complex than that. But
yeah, I see where you're coming from, though.
I think that's the broad idea of it all.
Well said, Art.
Thank you.
And today, specifically, as we all know, we're talking about the end of the war in Europe. We're talking about the suggestion that Adolf Hitler, leader of Nazi Germany, fled Europe at the close of the war and escaped to Argentina or somewhere else in South America.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we don't have time to get into the whole history of World War II. Plus, I think most of our listeners probably have at least a baseline familiarity with the general conflict.
Some might live in areas where the actual conflicts took place.
Chris? If you don't know anything about World War II, though, go to your preferred Googling device and shout WW2 at it until it gets you some more details. All that said, I do think that a little historical context for today's topic is useful. Now, Art, as the resident World War II expert here in the bunker, would you like to do the honors?
Oh, yeah, of course, Andy. I am the resident expert, right?
You are, yeah.
Listeners, in early 1945, both the Soviet Red Army and the Western Allies were advancing through Germany and other Nazi positions in Europe. With Soviet leader Joseph Stalin's forces approaching, Hitler holed up in a bunker, much like ourselves, underneath Berlin, unlike ourselves, which was the Nazi capital and, in fact, the German capital still today.
Ooh, interesting twist.
Hitler's official title in the Nazi government was Führer, which means leader or guide, and the title of the head of state in Hitler's regime. It was the title of the head. It was like a president or a prime minister. He was the Führer.
Yeah.
The name of Hitler's bunker, therefore, was the Führer bunker, which is fun to say. The Führer bunker.
Why doesn't Mr. Bunker have a name for his bunker?
I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe that will be revealed to us someday in the canon.
Ooh. I'm licking my chops thinking of that.
The Führer bunker was located on the site of the Reich Chancellery. It even had a staircase leading up to the Chancellery garden, one of Hitler's favorite spots.
Art.
Yeah.
There's a historical tie-in here.
Oh, boy.
That also corresponds to actual people we've talked about on this podcast before. So I have to dive into it, even though it's not very relevant to this topic.
Your diversions are going to get us in trouble, Andy, but fine.
Okay, listeners, okay. So, the Reich Chancellery. Hitler had a new chancellery constructed in 1938, but it shared the Chancellery Garden with the old Reich Chancellery building. The old Reich Chancellery building was the former palace of Antoni Radziwill, the Polish and Prussian nobleman whose great-great-grandson, Stosh Radziwill, was married to Lee Bouvier, Jackie Bouvier Kennedy Onassis' sister, whom you might remember from our Bobby Kennedy episode. Okay, that's it.
Great, cool. As I was saying... That was actually very interesting. Thank you.
Wow.
The Führer bunker was underground on the Reich Chancellery site. Hitler moved into the Führer bunker on January 16th, 1945. On April 16th, 1945, the Soviet Red Army launched an offensive on Berlin. Jeez, I'm having trouble today.
Berlin is the city in Ohio that's spelled the same. But because it's in Ohio, it's pronounced differently.
Berlin is what a hunky 70s guy does. He goes around, I'm Berlin.
Yeah.
I'm Burly. Burly Burt Reynolds.
I used to buy Berlin paper towels.
Anyway, the Red Army was encircling the city of Berlin by April 19th. So Hitler allegedly made his last trip above ground on April 20th. Smoke weed, Werder. 420.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Which was also his 56th birthday.
Too bad it wasn't his 69th birthday.
Yeah, even nice. On April 22nd, Hitler allegedly accepted for the first time that he was going to lose the war.
Well, better late than never.
And he announced that he would stay in Berlin until the end and murder himself by gunshot. Now look, we don't really need any more proof of Hitler's general shittiness as a human being, but nonetheless,
fair.
I'm going to mention that Hitler also considered suicide by cyanide capsule. He didn't quite think cyanide would work, so he had his doctor tested on his dog Blondie, who was successfully murdered by the capsule. What a guy!
Oh, God.
Jeez. In the wee morning hours of April 29th, Hitler married his longtime sweetie, Eva Braun, in what can only be described as the most elegant wedding ever held in the Führer bunker.
Undoubtedly had the papers buzzing.
So great that no other weddings ever took place.
Yeah.
Couldn't pale in
couldn't
comparison.
top it.
Hitler honeymooned with his secretary in another room in the bunker where he dedicated his will. On the afternoon of the 29th, Hitler was informed of Italian fascist leader and Hitler's ally, Benito Mussolini. He was informed of his death and how Mussolini's body was strung up by its heels, thrown in the gutter, and mocked by Italians.
Classic Italian move.
Well, Listen, we're lovers and fighters sometimes.
Passionate people.
In the late morning of April 30th, Hitler was informed by one of his generals that the Nazis defending Berlin were likely to run out of ammunition later that day, and that the battle for Berlin would be over within a day. In the early afternoon on the 30th, Hitler and Eva Braun secluded themselves in Hitler's study. According to others in the bunker, they heard a gunshot, and after a little while, they went into the study. They found both Hitler and Braun's bodies, Hitler with a gunshot wound to the temple, and Eva, apparently the victim of a cyanide capsule. Then, in accordance with Hitler's wishes, his faithful Nazis carried his body and Eva Braun's body up the stairs to his beloved Chancellery garden. The Nazis tried to burn up the bodies with gasoline, but the dang things wouldn't light. Shooey! So they got a wad of papers through, though, and that did the trick.
Oh, good tip.
They brought more gas cans to help burn them up real good. But they still didn't completely destroy the bodies.
Shooey.
The Nazis then lovingly concealed the remains in a crater left by a Soviet artillery shell.
Oh. Well, Art, Hitler was allegedly gone, but definitely not forgotten. On May 1st, the Nazis made a radio broadcast announcing Hitler's death. A Nazi general met with a Soviet general and informed him of the same, which the news then made its way to Stalin. Stalin, though, wanted proof that Hitler was dead, and so he ordered his SMERSH unit to find the body. SMERSH, which is fun to say, by the way, was the Soviet counterintelligence unit. SMERSH, the name, is a portmanteau derived from a Russian phrase which translates to death to spies.
Oh.
Now, SMERSH did the trick, and on May 4th, found what were allegedly the charred remains of Hitler in their shell crater. The Soviets also rounded up Hitler's dentist's assistant and technician, who confirmed that jaw fragments found by SMERSH belonged to Hitler and Braun. The Soviets moved the bodies around a bit, burying them and reburying them a few times.
Oh, God.
But eventually, in 1970, they decided that Hitler's burial site might become sacred ground for neo-Nazis. So they dug up the bodies, burned them, crushed them, and then tossed the ashes into a nearby river. The Soviets did keep the teeth and a couple of skull fragments allegedly belonging to Hitler recovered from the shell crater in the archives in Moscow. Thus ends the tale of Adolf Hitler.
Oh, but sweet Andy, that's where you're wrong. Despite all this buzz about Hitler's death, stories persisted about his still being alive. In the late 40s and throughout the 50s, U.S. intelligence services recorded and investigated a number of leads that suggested Hitler was still alive. And more than a few of them said that Hitler was living in Argentina.
Ooh,
surfing it up.
Buenos Aires.
Eating some meat. Now, listeners, you might be saying to yourselves, Argentina? How would Hitler end up in Argentina? Well, let me tell you. There's actually some historical precedent for such a scenario.
Oh.
In the early 1940s, the Vatican engaged the Argentine government to set up a system whereby European Catholic immigrants could be encouraged to settle in Argentina. Fascists, including Nazis fleeing Europe after World War II, made use of these so-called rat lines to travel to Spain or Rome or possibly other locations, and then onto Latin American countries. Eventually, certain members of the Catholic Church began actively helping Nazis escape Europe. All told, more than 300 Nazis escaped to Argentina.
So how did Hitler do it? Well, here's the story. Near the end of the war, Hitler was spirited away from the Führer bunker and flown by the Luftwaffe to an airbase in Denmark. From Denmark, he hitched a U-boat and was delivered safely in Argentina. There are other versions of the story where Hitler goes to Spain and then to Argentina. There's some variation here. The book Grey Wolf, The Escape of Adolf Hitler by Simon Dunstan and Gerard Williams suggests that Hitler and Eva Braun fled to Argentina. Then, in 1954, Eva Braun left Hitler and moved in with their daughter. Hitler later died alone in 1962. Thus ends the tale of Adolf Hitler.
Can you stop saying that at this point? You know it's not the end, Andy.
Yeah.
You can see the script.
I can see I read it. I mean, I wrote it.
So far, we've talked about the alleged way in which Hitler perished. We've also talked about the alternative hypothesis that he fled to Argentina. So let's dig into the origin and evidence, though, shall we? In the immediate aftermath of the Battle of Berlin, Soviet commander Marshal Zhukov told the newspapers that the Red Army had recovered Hitler's body. But Stalin went and told the papers that they didn't have Hitler's body.
Sneaky Stalin.
Zhukov eventually agreed with Stalin and told the press that Hitler might have escaped Berlin. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can look at this. Did Zhukov just speak too soon and the Soviets actually didn't recover Hitler's body? Or did Stalin have an ulterior motive for changing the story? Author Luke Daly Groves, who wrote the book Hitler's Death, The Case Against Conspiracy, sees the incident as an early example of Soviet fake news.
It's fake news, baby.
Daly Groves believes that Hitler's remains were recovered, but that Stalin is lying about it.
But Art, if Stalin is lying, why do it?
Well, Stalin.
Well, here, Daly Groves suggests that Stalin could have had a number of reasons for lying about not having Hitler's body. Perhaps he wanted to discredit popular Soviet rivals, like Zhukov, by embarrassing them in the press. Stalin also could have been trying to discredit overseas rivals, like the fascists in Spain and Argentina, or in rival powers like the USA and the United Kingdom, by making them look like Nazi harborers. Stalin may also have been trying to use the specter of a living Hitler as leverage in territorial disputes with the Allied powers. Keep in mind that at this point, Germany was partitioned. This happened right after the war, so there was some jockeying for control of territory. Maybe it's true, though, that Stalin was just embarrassed at how the Soviet troops handled the investigation into Hitler's death. It was kind of bungled. For example, the first people the Soviets allowed in the Führer bunker were a group of women who stole Eva Braun's lingerie.
You got to have a good panty raid.
I mean,
she
was the wife of the Führer. She probably had good undies. We've all been there. We've all needed undies.
We'll talk about it. Even though Stalin might have been lying, the Allies weren't taking any chances. Even before the end of the war, U.S. intelligence put out doctored images of Hitler to suggest how Hitler might have modified his appearance to flee Germany. Clearly, the Allies saw this as a real possibility. The UK eventually appointed historian and intelligence agent Hugh Trevor Roper to investigate the claims that Hitler lived. Trevor Roper compiled eyewitness accounts which support the mainstream opinion on Hitler's death, that he and Eva Braun committed suicide and then the Nazis burned the bodies in the Chancellery Garden. Trevor Roper released a book called The Last Days of Hitler in 1947, which detailed the results of his investigation. Despite the book's release, rumors continued to persist and organizations like the CIA continued to investigate. If Western powers were so certain that Hitler committed suicide, why keep digging into these rumors?
Well, Art, Luke Daly Groves believes that intelligence services kept investigating stories about a living Hitler because they wanted to find out who was spreading the rumors, why they were doing it, and maybe in the process you find some other hidden Nazis you can bring to justice. In fact, in 1949, an intelligence service investigation found that rumors of Hitler's escape were inspiring neo-Nazi activity in occupied Germany. So clearly, there was some benefit to squashing the rumors.
True enough, but not all the stories are just rumors. Keep in mind, some of these stories arise from the testimony of people actually close to Hitler. Luftwaffe captain Peter Baumgart claimed to be one of those who flew Hitler to Denmark on April 28th, 1945, stopping overnight in Magdeburg on account of Allied bombings. Baumgart made this claim during his trial for war crimes in Poland in 1947. The story got reported in newspapers across the globe. Naturally, this garnered the attention of Western powers. British intelligence carried out a 6-month investigation into the claims in 1948. The Brits talked to other Luftwaffe pilots stationed in Berlin and Magdeburg during the last month of the war. All of them disputed Baumgart's claims. In fact, the pilots reported that Magdeburg was captured by the US of A 10 days before this alleged mission was carried out. British intelligence determined that Baumgart was telling Porky's.
And before you make any jokes, Art,
Oh, boy.
I guess you're always telling Porky on this show since you're always talking to me and I'm such a pig.
God.
Anyway.
Will you quit squealing?
No. Another report was looked into by the American CIA. Another report that was looked into by the American CIA was made by a man by the name of Philip Citroen. Citroen claimed to be a former Nazi SS trooper and also claimed that Hitler survived the war, escaped to Colombia initially, and moved to Argentina in early 1955. Citroen also produced a photograph allegedly of himself and Hitler. On the back of the photo was the year recorded, 1954, and the name of the man with Citroen, Adolf Schrittelmeyer, or Schrittelmeyer. So, listeners, check out the show notes and you can see the photo for yourself. But I have to say, the man in the photo does look like Hitler a bit. To me, maybe more like Charlie Chaplin playing Hitler, but it's close. Ultimately, the CIA determined not to follow the lead because the contact who reported the Citroen claims and the CIA itself could not adequately assess the veracity of the story. The CIA decided that it would be costly to pursue further and had no real evidence the investigation would be useful.
Andy, you know I want to talk about the physical evidence.
Oh, do you ever?
I love body parts, and this case has a few.
Yeah, it does. Sure does.
We've already established that the Soviets took possession of the teeth and skull fragments that they believed belonged to Hitler and Eva Braun. The Soviets refused access to the remains for many years until finally, in 2009, the Russian government allowed a team of American researchers to perform DNA and forensics tests on the skull fragments. The American team concluded that the skull fragments did not belong to Hitler. In fact, the team determined the fragments belonged to a woman who was fewer than 40 years old. The skull fragments also appeared to have damage from a gunshot, so it seems like it probably didn't belong to Eva Braun either, because there are no reports of her being shot or shooting herself. Now, about them teeth.
Okay.
Remember, the Soviets relied upon Hitler's personal dental team to confirm the remains as Hitler's and Braun's. That said, the dental records themselves had been lost, and the dentists made these identifications based on memory, which, we'll get into it. The Soviets made the assistants give extensive descriptions and draw detailed pictures of Hitler's teeth, again, from memory, in order to make the match.
One other piece of evidence to consider is the testimony from those close to Hitler who describe a man whose health seriously declined in the months leading up to the end of the war. There has been much speculation about Hitler's exact condition near the end of his life, with some doctors suggesting a range of things from Parkinson's disease, Huntington's disease, or even syphilis. There's been even more speculation about Hitler's mental health, with many suggesting that he was schizoaffective. Combine all these with the fact that during the war, Hitler was prescribed some 90 medications by his doctor for his many ailments. These medications included methamphetamine, opiates, cocaine, and barbiturates. Is it possible that this ailing, crumbling, prescription-addicted man could be spirited away from rapidly advancing Allied troops and hidden away in South America? Let's discuss.
Mr. Bunker's Conspiracy Time podcast will be right back after this brief message.
Hey, listeners, this is Andy.
Hey, this is Art.
Hey, we're coming at you right now. Not to advertise.
No.
Just to tell you thank you. We're so glad that you're here. We're so happy that you're listening.
Every listen, every download, it really means a lot to us because we want to make the best podcast for you.
Take a moment. Let people know what you think. Share this with your friends. We'd really appreciate it.
Thank you, listeners. And you know what? We don't want to take up any more of your time, so let's get back to the show. Welcome back, listeners. That was our research. That was our research into...
That's right. Art and I have been thinking about buck cherry all day.
Oh, baby. Buck cherry. Woo! Let's go, baby. That was our research into what we're calling Hitler's flight, Hitler's escape to Argentina and beyond. I don't know. We'll come up with a better fucking
Hitler hawk down.
Woo, Andy, there is some shit to discuss with this motherfucking story.
Yeah, you think so? You got a few minutes to talk about this, Art? I think
let's just say though, I mean, I got to say, World War II, great conflict. I mean, what a great cinematic universe. It spawned the sequel, World War II 2, Return of Hitler. And eventually, the third and final conclusion in the saga, World War II 3, Hitler, Dark Side of the Moon. Which was great.
That was great conflict.
Great conflict.
Yeah.
Andy, to put this in context, I saw a fun
Hitler
little
and
stat.
his moon warriors.
Oh, those moon Nazis?
Yeah.
Woo, that was fun. Anyway, I read this in the research. In 1947, 51% of Americans polled, now obviously I don't have the stats on how many people were polled, thought Hitler was still alive. 51%. Conspiratorial thought and the lack of fucking hard evidence in this story. I mean, this isn't some modern day thing. I mean, we looked at this with JFK. People were skeptical. The moon landing, people were skeptical. It happened.
Yeah, and I think that people, this is an interesting one in terms of that, because you have this aspect of just natural skepticism,
sure,
which people exhibit, and there were closing, almost immediately after May 1st, 1945. They make the announcement that Hitler's dead. Mm-hmm. It goes worldwide, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
In a heartbeat.
It's huge news.
It gets everywhere around the world. That radio broadcast gets picked up, and it's all over the papers. Almost immediately, intelligence services around the world start getting reports of people seeing Hitler.
So seeing him everywhere.
Right.
He's at the grocery store.
It's like...
He's going to the movies.
He's
surfing.
Throughout the 1950s, yeah.
Little surfing Hitler. He's a little Hitler. He's surfing down in Argentina. Whoa, surfing Hitler. Go surfing Hitler. Gonna catch a wave. Gonna come and eat ya. He's a cannibal now. Hitler's a cannibal.
Oh, Hitler. But if you, honestly, if you look at there are like tons of reports.
Oh yeah,
of Hitler being literally all over the world.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like him. He's dining in a cafe in Paris. He's shopping in London. He's walking the streets in New York City. He's at a restaurant in Virginia. Like he's literally all over the world. And there's no way that all of these reports are factual. So. There's obviously people were skeptical that he had died.
Yeah.
But, I think that there was, if you put it into the historical context, there was a lack of definity at the time of his death, because you have to consider nobody actually saw him pull the trigger.
Right.
Nobody saw him shoot himself.
Right.
Everything, there's no photographs. The Nazis carried his...
Nickelback ain't singing no songs about this.
No, yeah.
Look at this photograph.
It shows where Hitler shot himself in the Fuhrer bunker. Yeah.
Chad Kroger did not say... He can't. They'd be complete fabrications if he said that. Chad. Look at this photograph.
It unequivocally proves the existence of extraterrestrials.
Oh, boy. No, you're right.
Look at this photograph. It's It's a clear, perfect image of the Loch Ness Monster with trees and rocks and stuff for scale. There was no photographs. Then, if the story that they got out of the Nazis is that Hitler asked when he intended to commit suicide, and that when the deed was done, he expected the people in the Führer bunker to carry his body up to the Chancellery Garden and burn it.
Right.
He wanted to be immediately cremated
because he didn't want to be strung up by his heels and mocked and carried and paraded.
Yes.
And
that's one point I wanted to make, is that I think
fair point.
I think it lends credence to that he committed suicide.
A little bit.
To be honest, because
a little bit.
He got reports days before about the treatment that Mussolini and his mistress got in Italy, where they were murdered. They strung the bodies up, they tossed them in the gutter, and then it was a public spectacle to come and mock the body of the fascist leader.
We saw that with Muammar Gaddafi.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. And to be honest, let's chit chat a quick sec about this little fella named Hitler.
Okay.
Can I just say, kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
To steal a Norm Macdonald bit.
Kind of a
jerk.
He kind of sucks.
This guy's a real fucking jerk.
Yeah.
He was a weird guy.
Yeah.
As we described in the research, lots of ailments, addicted to methamphetamines, a whole host of fucking drugs. Who knows? What the
90 prescriptions over the
90 prescriptions?
4 years of the war.
Active vegetarian.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
The only meat he ever really ate was liver dumplings, and whenever he hosted,
he tried to discourage his guests from eating meat.
Guests from eating meat because he felt a vegetarian diet was like the proper diet.
Yeah.
I mean, if that doesn't fucking show that this dude was a little bit off his rocker.
Obviously, he is an extreme narcissist.
That's what I wanted to get at. Extreme narcissist.
I mean, Art, put that psychology degree to work here.
Oh, baby, you know me. I'm an armchair psychologist.
Armchair diagnose Hitler, would you?
Do you think extreme narcissists are just going to live out their lives in peace and say, oh, well, I lost?
Hitler didn't even accept it until like April 22nd.
Yeah.
The Allies are crushing them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the defense of Berlin. It's something like, I don't know, I don't remember the number of Nazi troops that are defending Berlin, but it's like over 2 million Soviet troops. And I mean,
which is like a tenth of Russia.
They're massively outnumbered.
Yeah.
And then that's just one side. They also have to defend the Western Front, which is how
the British, how his downfall happened.
The Americans are coming. The British are coming. They're like both all coming from different sides. Like, I mean, they're.
Can you imagine Hitler just like chilling in some fucking country with like some aides who are just like, he's fucking bitching every day about how he wants to go back. And they're like, oh, mein Führer, please. There's no need to go back to the European conflict. Let's just go surfing. And he's just staring out a window. He's like, 9.
There was a lot of.
He's not going to go. He's not going to go peacefully.
A lot of Nazi loot ended up in Argentina. And some of the speculation is that with the concentration of Nazis there, that there would have been some attempt at a Fourth Reich.
Yeah.
But there wasn't.
Right.
That didn't happen.
Yeah, because I mean, I think what you got were a lot of people who, I don't know. I don't know how many. It's kind of like we talked about Operation Paperclip, right? It's like we took a bunch of Nazi scientists, whether or not their Nazi beliefs got carried with them. I mean, they just kind of came over here and did science, and we didn't seem to care. Obviously we haven't talked about that in depth, but we've touched on it in the surface. But it's like, I think it's interesting that it's like we took all these Nazis, but we were just like, well, we want you for your science.
One of the people who escaped to Argentina was Rudolph Eichmann.
Yeah.
I think Rudolph is his first name. Eichmann, for sure. and he escaped to Argentina. He also was eventually captured by Mossad agents. So the Israeli intelligence service,
Right.
eventually they went to Argentina. Oh, it's Adolf Eichmann.
Fitting.
Yeah, good for him. But he was a Nazi SS agent and one of the key organizers of the Holocaust. So Mossad agents captured him and brought him back to Israel to stand trial,
Right.
for basically crimes against the Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
And they found him guilty and hanged him. But there was a book written about the trial. The author's name is escaping me. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But the key phrase from one of the big famous takeaways from that book is it's Hannah Arendt, and it's called Eichmann in Jerusalem: A Report on the Banality of Evil.
Mm.
And one of the key points that the book makes is that Eichmann, he doesn't seem affected at all by the Holocaust.
Right.
He basically absolves himself of responsibility because he says he was just following orders.
Yeah.
And so Hannah Arendt's point is kind of that even Eichmann is such a mundane person. He's just a follower his whole life.
Yeah.
All he wants is to belong to something.
Right.
And so he did these horrible things,
People,
not because he hated
right.
the Jewish people or any other people that were
He
the
just got
targets of the
swept up
Holocaust.
in it.
He just wanted to belong.
Right.
And he could belong to the SS, and he could be, people were, this was just what he had to do to have that.
Little psychology story for you, Andy. I don't know if you've ever heard of this experiment. People asked that question after the war, right? They were like, how the fuck could normal, everyday Germans follow along with these? How could they do this? How could they idly stand by? People always ask that. And it's not just Nazis in, there's Kitty Genovese. There's lots of stories throughout history of people who will just watch terrible things happen and they fucking it's not that, and they're not psychopaths. They're just people ask that question. They thought, so I forget the exact who ran the experiment. And this experiment was done before they set parameters for how to humanely do psychology experiments. This experiment's kind of fucked up. They would bring people in and they would say we're just going to have you do this routine experiment. It's testing this new technology, whatever. We want to test communication between people. So they would have the experimenter brought in and the experimentee would sit in front of a machine. The machine had a series of buttons in front of it. And, and the buttons, I'm paraphrasing, the buttons were labeled 1 through 10. And then, so they were in another room, but communicating through a speaker, a speakerphone or something, was the other experimentee. Now what the first experimentee didn't know was that the other person was a plant. It was just another researcher talking to them.
Right.
So they would say, okay, you're going to have to answer a series of questions because we're testing something about memory. So the first experimenter would say okay, I'm going to tell you 3 words and then you have to answer a question. 3 words: dog, cat, cow. And he would say what was the second word that I mentioned? And then the other experimenter would have to answer. Now, the other experimenter, like I said, was a plant, was a researcher. They would get it wrong. And when they would get it wrong, the first experimenter would have to push the first button. When they pushed that button, they heard a little electrical signal. And this electrical signal, and the planted person, the other researcher would then be ow, that hurt. They would shock people.
Yeah.
And they kept going.
But it wasn't a real shock.
It wasn't a real shock. No one was actually being hurt, but the first experimentee,
they don't know that.
They don't know that.
Right.
Everything they believe.
They're only hearing it.
They're hearing it. They believe that the person, every time they press that button, they were hurting somebody.
And it ramps up.
It ramps up until it gets to the point where the experimentee has to say, like, if you get this question wrong, I am giving you a dose that is lethal. It went up to lethality.
Jeez. Okay.
Lethality.
So they think they're going to murder another person.
And like it ramps up. You can listen to it. The plant is screaming, begging for their lives. Please don't press that button. I'm going to die. Like they're going crazy. And the experimentees are like talking to the researchers. They're like, this guy is in pain. I think you should check in. And the researchers would tell the experimentee, like, sorry, you signed up for this. You got to do it. You got to press that button. Something like 40% of people press the button.
Yeah.
40, like a huge number, a number you would not fucking expect.
Yeah.
Press the button that would kill that person.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you could never, ever do this experiment ever again because it is incredibly inhumane. You're giving people PTSD.
Right.
They believe they just killed somebody.
Yeah. Then you've instantly given them trauma.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm capable of killing somebody.
I murdered somebody for an experiment.
Then you have the Stanford prison experiments, another great example where they got way out of hand. Some students were the prisoners, some students were the guards.
Oh.
And whoo, that just fucking ramped up real bad. But I'm not saying, and that these experiments aren't here to prove that people shouldn't be held accountable for their actions or their war crimes or whatever.
No.
But it just kind of lends a little bit into the human psychology of how, like, fuck, man, we are weird creatures.
Yeah.
We will go along with stuff.
Yeah. It's funny the types of things that you'll do just to not go against the grain.
You're a non-confrontational guy.
Yeah.
I think you'd press that button. If you heard me on the other side screaming, saying, Andy, don't press that button. They're sucking my butt.
If it were you,
you'd go straight to 10.
I would do one, and then I would be like, okay, I get it now. So each time I press it, it gets more. What's 10 do? And they'd be like, oh, it kills him. And I'd be like, fuck him. Now, if it was a stranger, then I'd be conflicted.
No, it's fucked up, man. It really is. You'd like to sit there and think, like, I wouldn't go through with it. But the researchers would sit there and they would say, like, you can't leave until you finish this experiment.
Yeah.
Obviously, a good number of people still left or refused, but a significant amount did not.
Yeah.
Normal people, accountants, fucking nurses, teachers,
yeah,
whatever, plumbers.
Yeah.
It's man, what the fuck?
I mean, we're like naturally social creatures, and there's for sure a desire to be accepted into the group, and it's hard. I think it's hard for anybody to understand what it would be like to
the Milgram shock experiment. Sorry, Andy. Milgram shock experiment.
Milgram shock experiment.
It took place in 1963. Examined justifications for acts of genocide offended by those accused at the World War II Nuremberg criminal war trials.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I mean, it's hard. I think it's hard to know what you would do if you were in Germany. If you were a German person at the time.
You'd like to say that you're a Schindler, but
well, I think you'd like to say that you would just accept the fate of not participating in it.
You'd like to,
but
it's hard to say. We're examining this from a modern day perspective.
Right.
And as bleak as sometimes things look in the world, being born in the present is always the best time to be born.
For sure.
Things always get better. But fuck, it's messed up. And anyway, I think it just kind of shows that, like, probably a good number of these people were just dudes who were, they just fucking, they didn't actually want to start a Fourth Reich,
Yeah.
They want to go surfing in Argentina.
Yeah, right. There are probably a lot of, like one thing that Hannah Arendt says about Eichmann is that he like grossly overstates his like education and even the things that he did. Like, he took credit for a lot of stuff that the Nazis did that he didn't do.
I made those Nazi UFOs. That's for sure. That's me.
And like it all came out at the trial.
I communed with
in
demons
Jerusalem
and fiends. Yeah,
it's like
full society, all me, baby.
What she kind of said is that this is just evidence for him almost that he needed to be seen as somebody who was competent and stuff. And you know, for him it's like maybe being put to death, maybe being this spectacle in this trial is better than just living out in obscurity.
Probably
in Argentina.
Probably.
But probably not all of the people felt that way.
No.
There's probably a good number of them that were like, okay, this
is the best.
This went way wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm getting out now. Like I need to go.
That shit back there was fucked up.
Yeah. Like
and now I'm here and I'm surfing. I'm hanging out with the gauchos.
Yeah.
This fucking rules.
Chimichurri. And like, I mean, I agree with you. I hope that doesn't come across as us like absolving the Nazis.
No one should be absolved for their act. Like,
yeah,
it just gives us a lens. It gives you a lens. It's like serial killers. There's a plethora of true crime podcasts out there. You can say what you want. You know, I don't think it's wise to romanticize serial killers and what they do. But as humans, we're fascinated how people can commit these atrocities.
It's shocking.
It's shocking. We don't understand it because it's just why we're drawn to it.
There's a morbid fascination with it.
Exactly.
I mean, and it's horrible that serial killers do get romanticized because those are real victims that
they're terrifying.
That are not getting romanticized.
It's terrifying.
You know, that are just dying in obscurity.
Yeah.
But I mean, probably a lot of these people were more, I mean, they realized what was going to happen. They're not idiots. You know, if you can escape to Argentina, the leader of Argentina at the time, Juan Perón, thought that the Nuremberg trials were a sham.
Right.
And that the Allies shouldn't have won the war because they proved in victory that they were no better than the Nazis. Because of the persecution of, quote unquote, persecution.
Right. I mean, we took their scientists. We didn't give a shit what they did, right?
Right. Yeah.
We didn't give a shit that they were creating death machines. We were like, you gonna come create those for us?
The moral compass here is, I mean, like we left morality behind a long time
we didn't give
ago.
a shit when they fucking split up Germany and caused a whole bunch of other
it's like
problems.
It's like all these not useful Germans were the ones that we were like, okay, you have to be held accountable for your crimes.
Yeah,
you need to go to prison for 20 years.
Yeah, but I think in general, narcissists they just can't.
It couldn't be Hitler. Hitler couldn't have done that.
He's just too full. It's either I'm dying or like I'm not going to let them make a I'm going out on top on my terms.
I agree with you.
That's what narcissists do.
It's not, the only reason that he would have to escape is if he thought he had a legitimate chance to rebuild what he already had.
Classical narcissists don't always view themselves as the most important person in the room. They just think that everyone else can't do it as well.
Right.
It's not like they're sitting there like, I'm the greatest. They just think that no one else, they're more paranoid of other people fucking up and not being able to do it the right way than they are of, and so Hitler said, I'm going to fucking do it myself.
I think it was Himmler. Hitler got news in the waning days of the conflict in Berlin.
Yeah.
That Himmler was trying to negotiate peace with the Western Allies, with the USA and Great Britain, and like negotiate a conditional surrender. And Hitler got so furious about it that he had like he ordered Himmler to be arrested. Like he's worried about loyalty even then, despite the fact that there's no way that they can win.
Yeah.
I mean, it's over at this point. And even still, I mean, and when I say it's over, I mean, I'm talking, this is like the 28th of April or something. So this is like 2 days before he kills himself. Like this is, and he didn't even accept that he was going to lose the war until what, the 22nd of April. And that's only after the day before he'd ordered some counter-offensive.
Yeah.
And the general that he ordered, like, he just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Because he can't do it.
Right.
There's no way. It's just.
They were just way too thin.
They're not. There's just
he made the
die.
classic mistake of trying to fuck with Russia in a war, in a land battle, I should say.
Yeah.
Which historically you never do.
You know,
you will never win in Russia on a land battle.
I mean, it's obvious
on their terms.
It's obvious that the Nazis had some good minds in terms of military strategy and obviously science and technology and stuff.
Germany's been a font of science since its inception.
But Hitler, not a great strategist.
No.
Kind of a shitty strategist.
Yeah. Among other things.
Yeah.
Just add that to the big old pile.
Yeah. Another black mark for
Hitler's bad qualities are
really
much like
stacking up here.
The giant mass of trash floating out into the...
Yeah.
And this is just another dirty diaper.
Hitler's the human trash island.
I want to ask you this, Andy, because you know more about history than I do. Do you think if Hitler just chilled in Germany, let's say maybe he tried to, he took over a couple of countries, do you still think that it would have spawned the entire, like, if he had just chilled just in Germany, kind of doing his own thing, not really shook the hornet's nest of going after the Allies, the UK and America, and fucking with France and stuff like that, and then Russia. Do you think that he would have lasted, and that regime would have lasted way longer? Because, I mean, Hitler really viewed the West and the Allies in particular as, like, the true enemies. He was like, we need to fuck that. They're the problem, and we need to go get them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the genocide and the, cleansing stuff was kind of a sort of not secondary, but like ancillary. You know what I mean? Like it kind of.
Well,
it was part of it. It just became part of it.
The rest of the world was the problem externally,
right?
And then he viewed. I mean, the viewpoint is that there are factions inside the country that are
because he wanted to cleanse and create his Ubermensch, his Aryan race.
Yeah, there's an external threat and an internal threat,
right?
And part of that whole like fascism and nationalism thing. I mean,
so if he had only
you can't have a diverse and nationalist.
But don't you think it's really the external factors that was what brought in all the trouble and the war that like spawned the whole thing? Or do you think if he had just sat there and focused on the internal stuff, do you think it would have lasted way longer?
It's a good question, and I think that the way I'm going to answer it is that even after he's crossed the Rhine and he's taken over Poland, European governments are still just trying to appease him.
Right.
They're not saying like, you got to shut this down, we're going to go to war with you. They're like, what can we do to keep you from doing anything else?
Much like how the Pittsburgh Steelers tried to appease Antonio Brown to bring it into what's happening right now.
I'm on board for this. Let's see where this goes. You mean the Oakland Raiders?
Well, no, the Raiders fucking released him. They said, "You're gone."
Yeah.
They didn't try to appease him. Pittsburgh tried to appease him and like be like, "What?" I don't know. Do you feel like the Raiders were more like that?
No.
Do you feel like this is a bad analogy?
No, this is a perfect analogy. So, bearing this out, where Antonio Brown is Hitler.
Oh God.
Hitler had all these medical problems. Antonio Brown might have CTE from using that old helmet.
And
he's got frostbite.
Frostbite on his feet.
Yeah. Just like the Nazi soldiers in Russia.
That's right.
It's hard to say. I think that the genocide aspect of it, this is probably a good cynic's answer, but like, I kind of feel like if it was contained, I kind of feel like
I
world governments might have just
I think they would
ignored it.
have turned a blind eye.
I think they would have been like, you shouldn't do that.
Because
but-
nobody really found out about it until the war started, right? Did it happen the other way where people knew about it and they were like, and then also
Yeah.
there's war brewing.
Well, I think it's one of those things that it was a known thing
Right.
that was happening. And, people like, I don't know, like, the British, I think, use it as a justification for their own actions to say we were on the right side of things.
Right.
When I think probably the real motivation was more, was less about that from leadership standpoint and more about national security and
Right.
and that.
He's knocking on our door.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think this virtuous angle of like being liberators and stuff. It's true that it happened that the Allied forces stopped the Holocaust.
Right.
But do I think that was the primary thing? No.
Yeah. So what you're basically saying is that all World War II vets are liars?
No.
It's okay, Andy.
More like the worst generation.
Oh, he's fucking calling you out, boomers.
Hey, World War II
Well,
vets,
actually,
if you're
those
listening.
are before boomers, right?
Yeah.
Baby boomers are the babies of the
The
vets
greatest
that returned.
generation is
They
the
were
World
the
War II
greatest
generation.
yeah.
There's the
Greatest generation, baby
spawned the
boomers,
baby boomers,
Gen X, millennials.
Gen Y, Gen Z.
Wait, which one's Gen Y?
There's the silent generation, which is the
Those mutes.
generation before the greatest.
Oh, yeah.
So these would be like the
People who grew up during the Depression, like our grandparents.
even before that.
Oh.
People who are slightly older than that.
Jeez. Anyway,
You think of your World War I veterans.
now there's a fucking war. Jeez.
I think that individual soldiers probably. I mean, the aims of an individual soldier.
Oh, yeah.
Are a spectrum.
No, I was in jest when I said that.
But
comment,
I think as far as the belligerents go,
Yeah.
the leadership. I mean, it was more about the.
Yeah.
I mean, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you can look and say it's like
I think they like to look at it with rose-colored glasses
Sure.
and say there was this liberation angle, and yeah, there was, but I don't think that was the primary motivation.
right. I mean, that's why we posed the question.
There's a reason we didn't get involved in the war until after Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. Well, we were happy to make arms and munitions for everybody.
Sure.
And pull us. I mean, rightfully, it pulled us out of the Great Depression, right?
Yeah,
Kind of. That the war effort created a ton of fucking jobs for people to go do and work in factories, and then military effort, great, surplus there, and that's suddenly tons of people have jobs and money,
yeah.
and yeah.
It changed the economy in this country for sure. I mean, obviously, economies in Europe were completely destroyed,
As were many
as
structures,
yes,
the land,
human beings.
humans, farm animals,
Yeah,
forests, trees, plant life, water, grass,
the dirt we walk on, completely destroyed.
cobblestone. I think people say that a theory like this is complete rubbish, but I'm going to play a little devil's advocate. I'm going to take a page out of your book, Andy,
Oh my God!
and say that, people say that, but took us a long fucking time to find Osama bin Laden, and that was with modern intel.
And the rat lines angle of it is very interesting because the thing about the rat lines is that they already existed.
Right?
So if Hitler was going to make use of a rat line to get out of Europe, it's a thing that already existed. Obviously, there's evidence now that's been uncovered that basically the Catholic Church was helping Nazis escape.
Right.
Eventually, I mean, it didn't start that way, but some of the more, I guess, Nazi inclined, like the former Pope, Catholics were willing to help Nazi people, come to Rome and then get out of Europe that way.
Right.
Under the cover of the Catholic Church. I mean, obviously, if they were going to do it, Hitler would have been this probably would have been a boon for the bishop or whoever was helping organize this, like this would have been a big operation. You probably would have had
hiding in the Vatican would be a pretty good place to hide.
Yeah.
Nobody gets in there.
Yeah. It's got walls.
Yeah.
You can't get in.
Nobody knows what goes on in there.
Nobody wants to know what goes on in there.
Oh boy, future episode.
Except the police.
Sting? What?
No. I mean like law enforcement.
Oh, okay.
Because of all the crimes.
Yes.
Against children.
Yes. Okay. Future episode, right?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not so
We're
much.
on the
Is
same
that a
place.
conspiracy? Well, I guess it kind of is.
What goes on in the Vatican? For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, a lot of stuff there.
Oh,
Not-
you're itching to talk about that.
Not just pedophilia. There's lots of other stuff too. that's
Well,
questionable.
there's a myriad of things. What's in there? Alien shit. There's all sorts of shit about that. Anyway, another topic for another time. I think, it's not that crazy to say that they could have.
Yeah.
The channels already existed.
Yeah.
They could have hid him in the Vatican for a little while till things cooled down or something else, and then shipped him to Argentina.
I mean, I'm not sure how convinced
With
I
the
am.
gauchos. You know what a gaucho is? It's like an Argentinian cowboy. Very
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
Big knife. Very good horse riders.
Uh-huh.
Very cool. Listeners, if you're out there,
If you're a gaucho,
look up the
Hit us up.
gauchos.
Hit us up.
Hey, if you're a gaucho, fucking hit us up.
to our Argentinian listeners, if you're a gaucho, come on,
Oh,
get at
baby.
us. I don't know how
Empanadas.
convinced I am, Art, to be honest with you, about
Yeah.
the story of Hitler being flown on a plane, because it's like
Plane's tough.
they would have had to it's not like they could just land the plane at the Fuhrer bunker and he just climbs aboard. So they've got to, first of all, get him out of the Fuhrer bunker, which at the time that this would have been happening, the Russians were shelling the city center
Yeah.
with artillery.
Hence why he was in the Fuhrer bunker.
Right. And so, I mean, I don't know. It would have had to have been a delicate operation. The plane has to stay overnight. They can't just fly straight through to Denmark because of Allied bombing runs.
And you're telling me Allied forces aren't being like, what's that weird German plane?
just one Luftwaffe plane by itself. There's
They
no,
wouldn't shoot that motherfucker down.
no part of the story is about an escort or anything.
Yeah.
And so, then they fly to Denmark and then he gets on a U-boat and comes across. Like, I don't know. I mean, that story is a little bit fanciful for me.
Yeah.
And then to layer onto it that the investigation that, the British spent 6 months investigating that claim, and they pretty much debunked the whole thing because
Right.
no Luftwaffe person they talked to corroborated that at all.
Right.
And it's easy to say, well, maybe they're covering for Hitler,
Right.
but it's like, it's not hard to go back and say, oh, well, the U.S. already took over this city that they supposedly spent the night in.
It kind of goes both ways when we talk about the just following orders sort of thing, right? Like, yeah, people follow orders when a person in power, but when the person loses power, I think you find that time and time again. We see that's a trope throughout media, that when people lose power, you kind of, that quote, that adage, you find out who your real friends are. They're losing the war. The war is over. Hitler has no more power. He's done. You really think that all these people are going to risk their lives to like what's the point of helping this guy escape? If you don't actually believe in his sick vision, if you're not actually a narcissist too, or like a sociopath as well, who believes in this cleansing, you're not going to follow that guy anymore. You're just going to be like, fuck this.
This doesn't really fit in, but you just reminded me of it, and I feel like I need to say it so that I can just say it. So Goebbels was in the Fuhrer bunker.
I was going to make a joke, but
Goebbels was in the Fuhrer bunker.
Oh, yeah.
And he was there actually with his wife and their 6 children. And with the Russians approaching, he murdered all of his children and
fucking Christ.
then himself. He gave all of his kids cyanide So all 6 of his children, the only person that survived from his family
Jonestowned him.
was his stepson.
Why did the stepson live?
I don't know.
The cyanide just didn't
know
work?
What the stories, but his 6 children were in there with him and his wife, and
Jesus Christ.
they gave
What did he
all
do
of
to
the
the wife?
children cyanide. Cyanide.
Oh, okay.
And then I don't know what he did. I don't remember. Cyanide probably. But he killed all of his children. He just, I mean, I guess I get it. But,
yeah.
I mean, nobody wanted to be captured by the Soviets.
Jeez, can you imagine?
There was, I read something about how some of the Nazi troops were trying to cut west through Berlin so that they could go to the Western Front and surrender so that they'd be captured by American or British forces instead of the Soviets.
Yeah, I mean,
and
makes sense. You got fucking Joseph Stalin,
but they tried
captured by Joseph Stalin.
But they tried to do it, so they had to kind of retreat, and it just ended up like a bunch of them died.
Oh fuck!
Because the Soviets were still like attacking.
Yeah,
so still.
Jeez.
But I don't know. It's just as a parent, I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you put yourself in that situation.
I'm like, geez.
That is fucked up.
I mean, I can't decide what's more disturbing. Hitler testing the cyanide on his dog. His beloved dog, by the way.
Yeah, he couldn't have just picked some fucking street dog.
Yeah, no, his dog.
It's so fucked up.
He's like,
dude.
yeah, I don't know. It might not work on me. Tested on the dog. I mean, like, ugh.
Yeah, like I said,
God, can you imagine being in that bunker, though?
He's a real jerk.
I mean, this bunker's not great. That bunker would fucking suck.
Yeah, that bunker is 10 times worse.
Oh, and I was reading that it's below the sea level, so it's like constantly damp. They had like pumps that had to run 24 hours a day to keep groundwater from getting into it. And, it was super crowded because there's nowhere else you can go because the Soviets are shelling the entire city, and the the US and British forces are bombing it daily. So you have to stay underground.
Yeah.
What a terrible, I mean, who cares? Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
They deserve it. Why am I, oh God, it would be so terrible. Oh, this
You're
Nazi.
Putting yourself in there.
Yeah. But I mean, fuck those Nazis. They deserve that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, poor Hitler. Aww. I just seen a damp bunker.
Oh, it was wet.
Oh boy. So the Grey Wolf docudrama was a docudrama based off the book where they a lot of these theories spawn from. And at the end, it ends with people saying that they saw Hitler.
Right.
Which I think is kind of funny. And I think it's just a bunch of people saying, I did see mommy kissing Hitler claws. And I'm going to tell my dad. What do you think about that?
Hitler claws.
You think that's how it went down?
Yeah, I think that's probably it.
I saw mommy kissing Hitler claws underneath the swastika tonight. Yeah, I saw Hitler. He's a funny little dude. He was surfing. I don't know why the image of Hitler surfing is funny to me. Surfing Hitler, I called him. And then I like to imagine that like the British intelligence are going to like fucking investigate all these claims. So they're down there in Argentina and they're like talking to all these people. And then there's probably one dude who's like, oh, Hitler? Yeah, no, I did not see him.
Yeah.
And they're like, sir, this is very serious. Did you or did you not see Hitler in Argentina? Well, now that you Uber mention it, no, I did not see him. He just keeps replaying over and over again. Great bit.
It's a hilarious bit. Classic bit. Let's talk about
incompetence.
Let's talk about this, Art. If you were Hitler, would you
Yikes.
Put yourself in Hitler's shoes?
Whoa, these don't fit at all.
Again. And if you were in the Fuhrer bunker,
Mm.
the Allies are advancing from both fronts.
Mm.
It's clear to you that the war is lost.
Soviets coming in.
You know that if you get captured, you're going to be. You know that if you stay in the bunker, you will be captured by the Soviets because the Soviets are advancing on the position of the Chancellery. Would you commit suicide or would you choose to try to flee?
Dude, I'm fucking escaping for sure.
You'd escape?
I'm trying to. You think, why wouldn't you put in a fucking escape plan? You dummy. You dummy. You should always have an escape plan. Just like you should always have a zombie survival plan.
Narcissists don't do that stuff.
Well, I'm a different kind of war criminal. I'm committing all those war crimes, baby. I'm facing the charges. And I'm going to Australia. Yeah, that's where I'm headed.
They're going to stick you in the ute?
Stick me in the ute. Take me out back. Shit me out in a dunny. Oh, yeah. Throw my thongs at those Red Army soldiers, huh? Hey? Couple of bogans they are, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, sure are.
Grill me up on the barbie. Go in the ute. Yeah. Australia. That's where I'm headed. I'm going to Australia.
Okay. Where you can be
Nobody going to find me there.
killed by the wildlife.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I guess you're right. I probably wouldn't go to Australia. Argentina actually seems like a pretty dope place to go. I've never been to South America, but
you know where I'd go?
I like Argentina.
You know where I'd go?
Where would you go?
India. So many people to hide in.
You stick out, though.
I stick out everywhere. Where am I going to go? Where do I go with the people that are like me?
A colony of Weeble Wobbles?
Yeah. The hit coming to Fox this fall. The hit show Obese Island.
Oh, no.
Husky Island.
Oh, God. Yeah, I guess you're right. India's pretty cool. A lot of people.
Too hot and humid for me, but a lot of places to secret yourself away.
What about Asia?
India's in Asia.
I know that. What I meant was not Southeast Asia, but like mainland
Siberia.
China. Yeah, Siberia. Like mainland China or
Siberia.
Even
I'll just
Japan.
wait for the Soviets to get there and stick me in the gulag.
I could just go next door. Why wouldn't you go to Japan? Weren't they kind of allied with Germany?
I think there's a good.
Oh, yeah, all the carpet bombing.
In hindsight, it's probably better that he didn't.
Well, mein Führer, here we are in beautiful Hiroshima.
Oh, no! The whole city's on fire!
We're here safe in beautiful Hiroshima. Nothing bad will happen.
What is that sound? It's a whistling sound.
Oh,
What is that? Some sort of big boy falling
taking
from
out
the sky?
my tiny binoculars, Enola Gay. What is this?
Was ist das?
Oh, no.
Radiation.
No, it's true. Allied forces were firebombing most of Japan.
We talked about that in
major
our Right Pat episode.
Japanese
General
cities.
Curtis LeMay
They
authorized that activity.
Yeah, and they still would not surrender.
Yeah.
Till we dropped those bombs. So
yeah. I think if I were Hitler, I would have done the same thing as Hitler.
you would have gone out.
I would have done cyanide though, because I don't think I could. I don't think I could pull the trigger.
Fuck. That is a loaded question, pun intended.
It wasn't a question. I was making
That
a
is
statement.
a loaded question.
I was just stating.
You're asking me to put a loaded gun in my mouth, pull the trigger? That's a loaded question.
No. Nobody's
That is
asking you to do
loaded.
this.
That is loaded.
Art, put the
Like a
gun down.
Big dirty diaper. That is pew pew pew. Ooh, fuck.
Buck cherry, that hurt.
Ooh, buck cherry, baby. Woo.
But I would.
What if the cyanide doesn't work? Cyanide usually works though.
It
It's
usually
kind of its thing.
What's the side effect if it doesn't work? You just have to do it again. I mean, like, what's the worst? If the bullet doesn't take, that sucks.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, if I vomit,
You're really not going to attempt anything. You're not going to try to escape at all.
No. I mean, here's my thought of it. I mean,
shave your mustache, shave your goofy haircut, put on some different clothes.
But then what? You got to get through the lines. You got to, I mean,
just run out.
There was no secure passageway. So you have to, there's too much risk for me.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference between you and I, my dude.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty fucking good at capture the flag.
I accept my fate and you fight against it.
I mean, you ever play capture the flag at camp?
Yeah, I've played capture the
flag.
You
could run into enemy territory.
Yeah.
Take the flag, I fucking snuck through the woods, Andy. I won. Planted that motherfucking flag. Nobody saw me.
Yeah. One
time when I was a little kid.
I'm not very good at capture the flag because, I'm stealthy enough for a person of my carriage, but
in modern day?
Yeah.
I'm talking about when we were little kids.
Oh, well, I mean, I just didn't run very fast, so it's like if somebody sees you, I'm screwed.
They're
going to catch me.
I'm very good at not moving.
They're going to catch me, and then I need help.
I would lay down like a lioness in the tall grass and survey the field, and no one would know I was there. I'd sneak up and I'd steal it, and I'd sprint away. I could have been a punt returner for the FNL.
FNL. I learned this. I'm
elusive.
I just learned the other day that female spotted hyenas are maybe the only mammal that doesn't have an external opening to the vagina. They have a pseudopenis. And the male hyena inserts his penis into the pseudopenis for reproductive purposes.
Whoa! Listeners, hey, you came here expecting this is what you're going to get on Mr. Bunker's Conspiracy
Now that's
Time
what
podcast.
we mean when we say the whole enchilada. We mean spotted hyenas, pseudopenises.
You think you're just going to get information on Hitler's escape to Latin America? No. We're giving you facts on animal genitalia.
Hyena genitals. Coming
Buck
at
cherry,
you.
baby. Let's go. God damn. Wow, a pseudopenis.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's the it's like the urethral opening is the pseudopenis. So the female urinates
just cuz
and gives birth through that canal. And it's narrow, so it like ruptures when the female hyenas give birth.
What the fuck, Andy? Why were you looking this up?
Also,
what the fuck?
Also,
wait. Why were you looking at that?
Oh, I mean, I just occasionally look up the anatomy of animals and their genitals just for research purposes.
You're like, why does mine look like this, and why does it do this? Do you have a pseudopenis?
I might as well.
Oh, good God.
Also, in hyena social structure, the females are dominant to the males.
Yeah.
They're bigger, and even it's a matriarchal hierarchy, and the lowest ranking female is even above the highest ranking male.
Wow. That's why they're always laughing. You don't have a pseudopenis.
You have a real penis.
Hyenas are known for their laugh.
Yeah.
Yip, 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 yip. Yip, 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 yip.
Was there a hyena?
That sounds just what they sound like, baby. Welcome to Art Safari.
Sephardi.
Sephardi.
I'm Sephardi. I had a burrito earlier.
Oh, God. Where are we?
In the bunker. Art, I want to talk a little bit about this claim, though, made by Citroën. There's obviously a photographic evidence of this guy. I mean, problem with this is, who knows how accurate it is?
Yeah.
We don't even know that this guy was an SS agent. He just claims that he is. That was never verified.
Can we just,
that is a guy that looks like Hitler, but
lots of people look like Hitler. I'm looking at one right now.
I didn't have time to shave. It's just how my hair naturally grows.
I only had enough time to get the whole beard and part of the mustache. Okay.
I didn't get the part immediately under my nose.
Easily one of the worst sketches of all time, written by you and I. About just some guy who is trying to explain to his coworkers why he has a Hitler mustache. You guys don't understand. Hey, look for that soon.
Yeah.
More great sketches.
My name is Rudolph Hotler. Hotler. But the guy in the picture looks like Hitler, but I got to be honest, if you're Hitler and you escape to Argentina, are you really going to keep the most distinctive mustache in the history of the world on your stupid face?
Yeah.
And you're going to leave your first name Adolf? And you're going to be like, nobody will know if I change my name to Skriddlemare. Nobody'll know it's me.
Skriddlemare.
Which sounds like somebody made it up. I mean, Chris,
sounds like a children's game where you pretend to be the mayor of a fake city that you draw.
German listeners, let us know if that's a proper name or if that's a made up name. But I mean, it's like he didn't even bother to disguise himself. Now, sure, you could say maybe this photo's from it was from 1955. When was the photo taken?
You tell me.
Yeah, I know. Oh God. Let me check this show. The research. It was 1954. So by this time, it's 9 years removed from the end of the war. So Hitler would have had time to regrow his iconic mustache.
Plenty of time.
So maybe he didn't always look like that. But
he figures it's been 9 years.
I mean, at this point, to me, it's like he's hiding in plain sight then at that point. He's not hiding.
Right.
He's just living as Adolf Hitler in Argentina.
Right. Surfing.
But I think it's telling the fact that the CIA looked into it and was like, I mean, so what?
Yeah.
Like, we don't even know anything about, like, their contact wasn't reliable enough that they felt like this was a solid lead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean,
and we're talking about the CIA at a time when they were doing all kinds of shit. So
MKUltra.
Right. So why would this CIA not be like, I think that's Hitler? Let's go fucking get him. Like you're telling me the 1955 CIA is not going to do that?
Yeah. Let's fucking go down there and see what happens.
Let's send like 18 guys and enough ammunition.
Operation Buck Cherry. Let's fucking go.
Let's send like 20 guys and enough ammunition to kill a small nation and see what the fuck there inspires.
It's tough. I mean, he, classic narcissist, he would probably grow it all back, but if he escaped, I think he would come back.
To your point.
Yeah.
Look, who is a reasonable facsimile for Hitler in history?
What?
I'm going to say Napoleon.
Facsimile.
Not you. Yeah, I know.
Not
you can't
fax a smile.
You can't answer this question. You don't know anything.
Yeah. Go flicking your wrist at me.
You don't know anything.
And he's trying to swipe me away like I'm something on a MacBook.
Tinder for freaking smart people. I'm
swiping left on me.
Get out of here.
He's not matching with me.
Napoleon came back. They put him in jail and he came back.
He got exiled. The motherfucker came back.
Yeah.
He didn't give a shit.
Yeah. And it's like all he had to do was just show up in France.
Yeah.
And he was like, I mean, I think he told the first garrison he came to where he was like, you can either join me or later on I'll come back with other people and kill you. And they're like, oh, okay.
Oui, sounds good to me.
I like his style.
It's very cool.
He brought back us for the whole place.
Welcome back from Gibraltar. I don't remember the island where you were. Starts with a W. No, that's where you lost.
Gibraltar is not right. It was...
where was it?
Oh, God, now you have poisoned it well.
Is it
mental well?
What was the name of the city where he lost?
Waterloo. Was it... Helena, St. Helens. That's a...
Guys. Something very wrong is happening to Andy's face. I think he's constipated.
Oh boy. Elba.
Elba. I think you're right, Andy. I think you bring up a really good point, actually.
Thank you.
You really think a psycho like Hitler would escape and not try and start all over again?
At the very least, there would have been some conflict with the Argentine government.
Yeah.
Where the Nazis would have like run for office,
right,
and tried to take it over.
Right.
Like there's no way that he would go to Argentina and just kick back on the beach and be like, you know what? I did everything I wanted to do.
Oh God! It's like
I did
like
it my way.
It's like the ending of some like Eat, Pray, Love kind of movie.
He's like he's riding horseback on the beach. He's not holding on. He's arms just straight out, and the sun is setting. And he's just singing My Way at the top of his lungs while the sea mist gently caresses him.
Wearing like a white Fabio shirt.
Whips his body gently.
Oh my God. Oh, you're right. I think if he was still alive, he would probably try to come back and do something, unless I can't think of a reason why not, unless like someone was keeping tabs on him or something.
And I have to say too, the Gray Wolf book, it meant, it says that he died in the 1960s. Does it really seem like Hitler could have lived another 20 years?
No, he had a lot. I mean, he had a ton of medical issues.
I mean, he
was not healthy.
His left arm, he had such strong tremors.
Yeah.
He couldn't feed himself.
Couldn't feed it. He had shrapnel in his fucking legs from Operation Valkyrie when they tried to blow him up.
They pulled at least 200 splinters out of his leg after the bombing attempt.
I mean, this motherfucker was not lasting long. I mean, hey, there's a place to retire. Argentina does not seem like a bad place.
I mean, but he had mental health issues, clearly.
Clearly.
He had obvious health concerns, both actually diagnosed in his time and, much speculation. I mean, we said it in the research. I mean, doctors think that he had Huntington's disease or Parkinson's, or that he was experiencing like the long-term effects of syphilis, that he had just like a long-term syphilitic infection.
That's interesting.
That finally, and I mean, that has a mental component to it as well.
He was a weirdly celibate guy too.
Yeah.
He like believed in celibacy and like giving himself to his state and like government, and like it's weird. And he like there were some
accusations that he only had one ball. But there was a Soviet like official that did an autopsy allegedly on Hitler's body, but he later admitted that most of the stuff that he said was made up. Like he made up a bunch of claims. It was just propaganda, essentially.
Yeah. And
he was one of the people that encouraged this theory that Hitler lost a ball in World War I.
I think there's one major piece that we still need to discuss here, and it's something that we see time and time again with every theory that we look at.
Time after time. Oh.
Time after
I know where you're going with this, I think.
You can look, you can search, and you will find me.
In the Fuhrer bunker.
In the Fuhrer bunker. Incompetence, Andy. Rears its ugly, fucking, stupid, dumb-ass little head. Incompetence of the goddamn Red Army. Coming in there, fucking things up, fucking not doing it the right way, stealing lingerie. Listen, Andy and I love a panty raid as much as the next Soviet soldier. Okay? Right, Andy? You're a panty freak.
I am.
You can't get enough panties.
Panty piss freak.
You're a panty piss freak, and you can't get enough. But goddamn, guys, fucking hold off for fucking 15 minutes. storming in there, fucking throwing the place apart. Can't tell whether they burned the body or not. It's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Incompetence.
They
bungled it up.
They bungled it. And if to our listeners in Russia or anywhere in the world who are Soviet sympathizers,
We have a few Russian listeners.
get at Art about his his stirring indictment of the Red Army.
Wait a minute. You're not removing yourself from this. If I'm going down, you're coming with me. You're taking the cyanide pill. I'm taking the loaded gun.
They, they didn't really handle it very well. But at the same time, I could almost give them a pass in this case because it's hard for me to imagine a more chaotic environment than what Berlin must have been like in the closing moments of the war. Because, I mean, I saw a picture online of like Winston Churchill in Berlin sitting on a chair that they dragged out of the Führer bunker. And, you know, everybody's there. He's like chomping on a big cigar and like they're all laughing and stuff. And it's like, it's just rubble.
Yeah.
And it's paths cleared through just rubble.
Right.
And so I don't know. I mean, if I'm a Soviet troop on the ground and I'm going through Berlin, I don't know what I'm experiencing, you know? It's got to be just absolute utter chaos.
Right.
And so it's not the best environment to do like a forensics examination. And you throw in the variable of the Nazis torching the body immediately and then tossing the remains in a shell crater along with the remains of other people. I mean, the Soviets did find a Hitler double, a decoy, and they thought it was Hitler. They thought they'd gotten his remains.
Right.
But it wasn't. So, I mean, they were kind of in a fix, but it's also kind of that thing of like, surely they knew that the bunker was there. I don't think that was, I mean, the Vor bunker, which was the bunker above the Führer bunker, was older and it had been there for a long time, like since 1939.
Right.
And the Führer bunker was added after the fact, deeper in the ground and with stronger reinforcement. So they undoubtedly probably knew that there was a bunker there. You know, it doesn't make sense to me that it should have been somebody high ranking who went to the bunker, like to the chancellery. Because even, I mean, the chancellery is where the chancellor lives.
Right.
So that's where Hitler would have lived.
Yeah.
You know, in peacetime even. So I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me that it would have just been, you know, that they wouldn't have had some high-ranking officer there who could order things around and say, like, I'm going into the bunker and I'm taking this and this people.
I'm taking these panties. You guys can't have these.
I need this lingerie.
No, I guess you're right.
Like, why didn't Zhukov go?
Right.
It's hard to look at this
from a modern perspective and say, why didn't, you know, and then you got to remember that it's wartime. This is, you know, 1940s. Just not the same.
Look, I don't know that the Red Army was maybe the best organized. I mean, I don't want to cast aspersions on them, but you know,
but there's a lot of them.
I'm guessing that when they, you know, it was probably for the troops. I'm sure it was jubilation for the rank and file,
right? Because
it's like this is the final objective.
Yes,
you get to Berlin and it's like we made it. Like there's a chance I'm not going to die now.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm sure that the excitement of the whole, like finishing the task sort of takes over and you kind of get a little bit wild.
Like when you win a college football game and you tear down the goalposts for some reason.
Yeah. Or you do what I used to do and you strip down naked and then go into the middle of the field and rub your genitals all over that artificial turf.
Good God. You take a shit?
No.
In the middle of the field?
I wouldn't soil the field.
And then try and cover it up like a dog does?
No. I wouldn't soil the field that way.
Just rub your genitals on it?
Yeah, it feels good.
Okay.
It's
Get all those little pellets in there?
Yeah, the rubber pellets get, lodged in your urethra and
Your sub-penis?
yeah, my pseudo penis.
Okay. Well, Andy, I think we have a few more fun little questions and segments, but perhaps maybe first we should get to our verdict. Or
Yeah, why don't we issue a friggin' verdict on this thing?
All right, Andy, hit me with your best shot.
Hit me with your best shot. Beep 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 beep. I think, Art, what I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna make it simple this time. I think it's simple. What do I think? The real conspiracy here is that Hitler didn't actually die in the bunker, right?
Right.
That he escaped.
He's dead now.
He's dead
Unless
now.
he was frozen cryogenically and then put in some sort of robo body.
There's no
Hitler.
question that he's dead now.
Right.
Even some people who believe that he escaped don't think that he made it past the 60s.
Yeah.
So he didn't have a lasting impact after the war in terms of, new developments. Obviously, the effects of World War II linger in the entire world still.
Right.
But did he escape? I'm pausing.
Andy is pausing for either effect or the fact that he's pregnant. I can't tell.
I'm making a consideration.
I've never seen Andy like this before, listeners. This is truly a sight.
Art, I'm gonna, in honor of the spirit of this whole
Christmas.
day, I'm gonna buck cherry the trend that I normally set.
What?
And
What is happening?
I'm going to just go whole hog
What?
and say case closed.
Whoa! What the fuck?
Hitler committed suicide in the Fuhrer bunker on April 30th. The Nazis took his body up to the Chancellery Garden.
Wow.
They burned it with gasoline. They dumped it in a shell crater. The Nazis found pieces of it, but they didn't do a very good job of sorting it out, and so it was a mess.
You mean the Soviets?
That's what I said, right? Did I say
You
Nazis?
said Nazis.
Oh,
That's
the
okay.
Soviets. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm on case closed.
Wow.
The reason I paused is because I was going to say not plausible.
That's not part of the scale. Are you adding to the bunker scale?
No, I said case closed.
Okay.
I was going to say that I didn't feel that it was very plausible that he escaped because I felt that I was more convinced by the evidence compiled that he died. But you know what? I buck-cherried the trend that I normally set for myself where I play it safe. And I went fast and loose and said case closed.
You're writing you're writing a Buck Cherry song.
Woo, cocaine.
Girl, I love that cocaine. Love those kind of lyrics.
Love that, case closed.
I love that, case closed.
All right, that's mine. I mean, simple and sweet, just like me. I think he died in the bunker. And now I kick it to you, Art.
Part of me wants to take the cyanide pill of verdicts and say, well, even if he did live, it doesn't matter because he would be dead by now. So it's a moot point. Fuck you.
Yeah, I get it.
But I can't, Andy. I got to face the facts. The bombs are falling around me. The Red Army's knocking on my door.
Art, you need to wake up to reality.
And I need
This
to
is
answer.
your April 22nd.
Ooh, smoke weed over there.
No, 22nd.
Smoke weed over there.
Art.
Snort cocaine.
Snort cocaine every buck cherry day.
Or a Buck Cherry song. Fuck, dude. I don't know, man. I mean, it's just like, wouldn't that guy do anything in his power to start over again, to do this, to win, to come back? Even if he was a sickly old man living in Argentina, wouldn't he write Mein Kampf 2, back to basics? Or something. I don't know.
Mein Kampf for dummies.
Mein Kampf 2. More Kampf.
Now with more Kampf.
More struggle.
Yeah.
Mein Kampf 2. I did what last night?
Mein Kampf and a baby.
Okay. Don't you think he would do anything, even if he was like sickly on a deathbed, like instruct people to go, this is what you got to do. We got to come back.
I think there would have been some buzz about a Fourth Reich in Argentina. And
So you're making
I'm
me...
not even convinced, Art, that Hitler would have survived the trip.
Yeah.
Would he have had access to all these medications that he needed to keep him from being in crippling pain and to, I mean, like...
I don't know, because how much do we actually factually know that he took all those meds and took everything, right?
I mean, like, all I'm saying is that his schedule is like he stays up all night, he sleeps for a few hours, he gets up, he stays up all night again.
He puts Hunter S. Thompson to shame.
Right, like he's on the Hunter S. Thompson schedule. He's taking 90 prescription medications in 4 years. He's I mean, like, he married Eva Braun after midnight. He goes and dictates his will to his secretary. He goes to bed at like 4 a.m. And then in the morning, it's like people are coming for meetings and stuff. I mean, like, this is a person who's on the brink at this point. And I don't feel that this is a person who could handle the stress added on, because none of the other stress changes for him, right? No stress is alleviated by escaping. Yeah. It's only extra stress added on to this person whose breaking point is millimeters away. That's my opinion.
I think I got to follow you on this one, Andy. I think I got to also say, case closed.
Wow.
I think you're right. Solely for the fact that I think there's no way that this guy would have ever stopped.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. I think there would have been more action.
Yeah. Well, listeners, we won't stop ever.
No matter how much you beg.
No matter how much you beg, no matter how much you...
Keep the tweets coming to tell us to stop this podcast.
You know what? You can knock down this bunker door, drag us out of here, but we'll escape to Argentina. We'll keep doing it.
Yeah. No matter where we go, Bunker's going to abduct us.
Listeners, let us know your thoughts. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? Use the hashtag.
Just use the hashtag Führerbunker.
Use the hashtag Führerbunker.
Or you're our bunker. All right, I've got a question for you.
That's right, Andy. You've got a couple more fun little questions.
Art, pretend for a minute. Use your imagination. And tell me, if you were a dictator bent on world domination, what title would you give yourself in your government?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And assume that you also had to build an air raid bunker. What would you call your bunker? And please don't give me the cop-out answer of saying you'd call yourself the Führer and you'd call it the Führer bunker.
No, that's been taken. I, Andy, would go the route of, I would call myself the Grand Poobah, Imperial Sovereign General High Admiral Emperor Art. I'd give myself all the fucking titles.
Jeez.
I would force a bunch of universities in my country that I'm the dictator of and institutions to give me honorary degrees. I would just be fucking littered with medals, you know, just like North Korea, baby. Mm-hmm. Like I'm the what do they say? The brilliant leader? Something leader. Glorious leader?
Dear leader.
Yeah, like dear leader, glorious leader. Grand Poobah for short, but Grand Poobah, Imperial Sovereign General, High Admiral Emperor Art. And that's, you know what? I'm just going to be decorated as fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Pictures of me in every classroom and everywhere you go. Fucking statues.
Weird that you started with classrooms and didn't have any other examples.
Well, okay. In a lot of Catholic school systems, there's a crucifix in every classroom, okay?
So you're a megalomaniac on par with Jesus.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Well, he's a lot more successful than you are.
I'm writing all this fucking fan fiction about how I would, like, I'm like a supernatural mega being.
Yeah.
All these things. My people are going to believe me. Wow. All sorts of great shit, man. Yeah.
Nice. So what would your bunker be called?
Art's Place.
Very understated, yeah.
This is Art's place.
Nice.
Art's basement.
Arts.
The basement of love.
Oh boy.
I'd be like a Warhammer 40K God Emperor, which funny we're talking about, World War II and Nazis. Bring up Warhammer 40K.
Are there Nazis in there? Space
No,
Nazis?
there's just a lot of obviously Warhammer 40K is like taking how do I want to put this? It's like taking these ideas and blowing them up just 1,000-fold, where it's this like crazy space conflict and never-ending war. But there's a lot of, not Nazi-esque, but Nazi-esque kind of imagery with the main Imperial Army or the human army, You got your God Emperor. They've got like all this,
It's like a Holy Roman Empire type.
Kind of, yeah, but it's not nefarious in any way. It's just for funsies. But I would be like a God Emperor. The people would hear stories of me and how I saved them from a cataclysmic battle with alien forces that has and that my body started to fail, so they ascended and put me into a sentient computer system, kind of like Mr. House from Fallout New Vegas. Vegas, as you like to say. Vegas. Let's go to Las Vegas. That's my impression of you. But that's what I would say. So that I could also
Why does everybody get down on me for pronunciation of Vegas?
Vegas. It's just fun. Las Vegas. You say the. Vegas. Yeah. I say Vegas.
Some people say Vegas.
Those people are dumb as hell. They're dumb, dude.
Las Vegas.
They're so dumb. No, I would be like a sentient god computer being.
You would become a computer?
Well, that's the image. But then I personally, in my real body, I could still walk around and be normal.
Yeah.
I'd go in like disguises and stuff and be like, "You guys are really into the Grand Poobah, right?"
You're like, "Hey,
you guys heard about the Grand Poobah?
Boy, this is a great hot topic. You guys love the Grand Poobah, right?"
They're like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Why are you in a hot topic?
Yeah.
How old are you?"
We're trying to sell Slipknot t-shirts. These My Chemical Romance pictures aren't gonna fucking.
Hey, you guys want to go get our ears pierced at Claire's?
Yeah, I know a guy who works at Jamba Juice. Get you guys half off. Grand Poobah's cool, right? He's handsome.
Wait, are you the Grand Poobah?
Kind of feel like you're the Grand Poobah.
Yeah, that's me.
Me? No. But if I was, boy, would I be cool. No, yeah. So then, and I'd make it like a holiday. My birthday would be a holiday where people have to go and visit where my consciousness is kept.
Mm-hmm.
I would just like fabricate a bunch of fucking like dope stories, and I would just put out different like codexes of my things that I did. I don't think I'd be that evil. I just would make a whole nation of people believe silly, fantastical things about me. Like, oh yeah, like the Grand Poobah, he defended us from the evil unicorns that tried to invade in 1943, and he successfully defended him. He led the army of centaurs. Yeah. But yep. Grand Poobah says that we can't see any of that stuff because it would, our minds aren't developed enough. Like, I would just do that kind of shit.
Scientology
I wouldn't necessarily
stuff.
be like, I wouldn't necessarily be like that evil.
Right.
I wouldn't put people in any like camps or stuff, but I would just have fun.
Just have fun with it, baby.
Just have fun, baby. Come on down to Art's place.
Art's basement.
What about you, Andy? Did you put any thought into that?
Yeah, I would call myself the vice principal, and I would do that just for fun.
Vice principal, Andy.
People would be like, "Who's the principal?" And I'd be like, "Nobody. It's nobody higher than me. I'm the vice principal."
Then they'd argue with you. They'd be like,
"Well, what about the principal?"
There's got to be you're a vice of something.
I'll be like, "You know what your vice is? Asking too many damn questions."
Oh shit! Then they get abducted.
Yeah.
By your shadow
By
government?
my strongmen.
Yeah. Wow, you're getting real Argentina with it, aren't you?
Yeah, I got a whole stable of circus performers to come do my bidding.
Strongmen.
And my bunker, it would be, I kicked a lot of different ideas around about this. And I was tempted to go with the vice principal's office, but I think that's a little too vanilla.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm
not that there's anything wrong with vanilla.
No, vanilla's a delicious flavor.
Yeah.
I think what I'm gonna go with is Underground Lounge.
It's a lounge. I heard the vice principal hangs out down there and smokes hookah all night with hot babes.
Why is it that we both thought lounge and hookah?
I don't know. Did you think hookah too?
Yeah.
Something about a lounge and hookah.
It sounds like there's lots of pillows, and pillows lead to hookah.
I have never been in a hookah bar. Have you been in a hookah bar?
Mm-hmm. I don't smoke hookah. I don't smoke anything, Art.
I know. You have bad lungs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've never done hookah either. Someone get Andy's CPAP machine. I guess that's me.
Yeah, there's nobody else here.
Bunker's not going to do it. Anyway, if you've ever been to a hookah lounge,
tell us about it. We'd love to know.
Oh, we can't wait.
But we don't want to go.
No, let us know what your what do you want to call that? Dictator name would be?
Yeah, let us know what your dictator title is. And
use the hashtag.
Tell us what your bunker name would be.
I'm going to pull my dict out. DICT, dict.
I would say
got my dict. My dict says. Use the hashtag my dict says.
My dick title.
My dict title. DICT title. Tweet at us. Email us. Let us know what your title would be. Hey, maybe we'll read it on the show.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. You can
send us a message. We might read it on the show.
Yeah. I mean,
we're fucking crazy like that.
We don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah. We literally don't know what we're going to do.
Crazy.
Andy, I think that wraps it up.
Yeah. What more can we say? That's it. Case closed.
Okay. Case closed from both of us. Listeners, thanks again for listening to another episode of Mr. Bunker's Conspiracy Time Podcast.
We love you. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. Kiss, kiss. For the titular Mr. Bunker and for my rarefied co-host, Andy Hard, I'm Arthur Stone saying, that was the whole enchilada.
Keep it classy, baby.